Howdy tubers and chiefers, how you doing tonight? We've got our good buddy with us, Derek Maggoteater. How you doing
Yes,
tonight?
sir. I am doing good. Great
Awesome.
day. Had a great morning. Great day going on. Lots of good things to report.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's good to hear.
Yep.
What's going on? There's a lot going on in the news, but what you got going on?
Woo-wee. So probably my most exciting thing to report happened like within the past hour and a half,
Oh,
roughly hour. Um, so it's one of the things I was looking forward to for a long time. NASA. All right. Well, prior to that, let take a step back. So you remember the Hubble um, Space Telescope came out with this thing called the Deep Field Survey.
yes.
So I'm going to share the screen. I got it over here, sharing the screen. First time ever sharing the screen. Boom.
Share. Let me get
Share
down here.
here. Let's see if that pops up.
Bam.
All right. So this is the Hubble Space
Hold on.
Telescope. This is called the Deep Field Survey. There's a link up above, and here's the image. So basically, the story behind this is what they did is they pointed the Hubble to a patch of sky. So if you put your finger out at, or put your arm out, and your finger is far away from your head, as your pointing finger is far away from your head as possible, and you look at the focus on your pointy fingernail, that's about the size of the patch of sky they focus this on, and you
Oh,
can
wow.
see it's a grainy image. This was done
Mm-hmm.
in
Yep.
1995. Um, and so this was the furthest image captured by the Hubble. And this is one of the things that led NASA to revise their numbers, meaning 100 years ago, we thought there was only one galaxy. We thought the Milky Way was the universe, and then Edwin Hubble discovered the Andromeda galaxy by accident because he thought it was a smudge. And then from there, it just kept growing and growing. Well, this image was from billions and billions of light years away, and what you see in the image, every single point of light is actually a galaxy, with the exception of this one right there. This was actually the report I was told. This is a star within our own Milky Way, caught in the near field focus because they were trying to peer far away, but we're within our own galaxy, so sometimes
Mm-hmm.
stars get in the way. And but every other speck of light in this image is a galaxy, and that's what caused NASA to revise their numbers, saying, "Oh, there's not millions of galaxies or billions. There's actually trillions." Because if you map the size of your
We're a
pointy
bit
finger,
off.
oh yeah, because they say if you map the size of your pointy fingernail at arm's length all the way around the visible sky, and you do the math based on this many galaxies appearing everywhere that you plot that out, there's trillions. Well, the cool thing is today, the James Webb Telescope, which launched, I believe it was Christmas Day of last year, and for a half year or so since then, they've been doing diagnostics and tests and alignments and all kinds of other things. And so the first image that they unveiled today, remember I was telling you the one I was looking forward to?
Yep.
They were going to unveil a number of different images of nebulae and planets and other things, but the one I was most looking forward to was they were going to peer into provide the furthest to date image ever captured by humans. And so take a good look at this image, deep field with all its graininess, and you can actually see this little grainy line going up here and blah blah blah. And
Take it
then
all in.
here's today's image from the James Webb, and this one's even further
Ooh.
away. They say so if you put your arm out at arm's length and you look at your pointy finger and imagine a grain of sand on the tip of your finger. So rather than the size of your fingernail, this is, we're now looking at a patch of sky the size of a grain of sand on the tip of your pointy finger,
Wow.
and this is from 13 billion years away, or 13 billion years ago, because that's how long it took the light from this image to reach us. And you can see a couple stars in the near field. These would be within our galaxy. But then every other image in here is a galaxy. And the interesting thing is, it looks like there's some warping
Yeah.
here, like there's a maybe a black hole or something that we can't detect because black holes distort light, but you could
Right.
clearly see some of these galaxies are warping like they're curving around something, which is really interesting. But this is the furthest image ever captured by humans, and every point of light except for these things with these starbursts, those are near stars. But every other image in here is a galaxy. All these little points of light, and the fact that, and this is one of the things you and I were talking about the other day. I kind of suspected that they're going to have to revise their numbers up from rather than millions or billions, or even trillions, which is the current model.
Right.
I had mentioned that my prediction was that they were going to have to revise it up to the next highest number, which would be quadrillions or even more. Because if we went from looking at a patch of sky the size of your pointy finger, or the fingernail on your pointy finger at arm's length, and now we're looking at a patch of sky the size of a grain of sand on the tip of your pointy finger, we're looking at a lot smaller patch of sky, a lot further away, and there's more images in this one than on the Hubble one. I'll switch back to the Hubble one. So here's the Hubble one, fingernail size patch of sky, grain of sand patch of sky. Now the cool thing is this one's way more sharper, or way sharper, but you can see there's a lot of little tiny points of light.
Yeah. There's definitely there's
See how small these are? Some of these are like literally 1 pixel, and some of them are very, very faint. And I'd imagine if they focused, the James Webb towards like one of these
right.
and zoomed in on it so it was about the size of this, they would just get another image of this. More
Mm-hmm.
now. So my suspicion, like we talked about previously, prior to today, is that it's going to just keep going on and on. So very, I was very excited to see that. I'm glad that this was the first image they unveiled.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yep.
Especially when you think about how much technology has happened in this amount of time
Hmm.
since then.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, considering the Hubble's image was from 1995, and I mean that's not a bad image, but you could clearly see how you can see all this pixelate, all these little dots. These aren't
Right.
stars. That's graininess. All this stuff like you see up here. That's on my screen. That's very, very grainy. And even around this, you can see all the graininess around it, or even this one, the graininess. So, and even look at the star. See the graininess around the star.
Yeah.
And then if I switch over to this other image and look out how much
So
sharper it is,
yeah.
very, very sharp. I mean, when they said it was 10 times more powerful than the Hubble, I think 10 times is a understatement. I mean, that is a very, very sharp image. And unfortunately, I can't. Oh, wow! I can zoom in. I didn't even
Aha.
know.
Here we go.
Didn't know I could do that on the NASA
Here, let
website.
me put that full screen. Give me just one sec. Bam. All right.
Now, let's zoom into this section right here. Wow!
Ooh,
Look at that.
look
Okay,
at
so
that.
these three little stars right there.
Yep.
There they are. Wow, that's and then more of them. There's another one that just popped up right there. If I
Yeah.
zoom out, you can't even see that one. See, these are just these three. There's those three, and then look, that little tiny one just popped up there. So even zooming in, you could see a lot more faint images. So look at these two right there, right above the icon. But yeah, there's
Look
a
at the
lot.
distortion of light on that star.
Oh yeah.
Look at
Well, the
that.
cool thing is, look at these the starburst. I mean,
Yes.
you could see the rays very distinctly. I mean, that's very wicked in my opinion.
That that oh my goodness. It looks like the eye of Ra
Where?
right on the tip if you bring it up in the upper right hand corner there.
Right here?
Yeah. See that? That whole
Oh yeah, like the eyebrow and then the
Yeah.
wow, that's pretty cool. Let's see if I let's get a better zoom.
Yeah. Looks like the Eye of Ra. Oh, look at that other one. It looks like the galaxy's being sucked into another galaxy. Yeah, look at those three right there. Boom, boom, boom. Those stars. And then
That's
right
cool.
there. Yeah.
See if we zoom out. See, this is zoomed
Uh-huh.
out. Same thing, but if we zoom in, I mean
Look at that.
that's a really good high res image. You
Yeah.
see all these little tiny stars intermingled in there. It's almost like see that right there, and this and that one right there. You zoom out, you can't even make out hardly any of that except for that white dot right there. But you zoom in, and then all of a sudden you can see all these little speckles. And it's not graininess because the interesting thing is, unlike the Hubble image, if you try and focus in on any dark patch of sky, see, now you can see how grainy it is. See all that graininess? See all
Yep.
the green and blue and red
Yeah.
pixelation?
It's really, yep, heavily
Space doesn't look black. It looks it's
speckled.
yeah. So I mean, and I'm not downplaying Hubble. I mean, that was a major engineering feat.
Right.
That it was able to capture this from billions and billions. This was previous record holder for the furthest image ever captured by humans. But this was in 1995, and you got to think about where we were technology wise. I mean, Windows 95 was coming out. Most people didn't have computers. There was no social media that people are familiar with. The average person wasn't online, kind of
No.
thing. I
Yep.
mean, those of us who were in IT were on computers and stuff like that. But
Yeah, because I used to have a rolling background of the Hubble.
oh, nice. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, but going from this graininess to this, I mean, here you can see the blackness of space is the blackness of space, so it's very, very sharp. And the cool thing is, you can see, you look in the blackness of space, and there's stuff all over in here, all over. I mean, little patches of stars, or well,
It's
and I take that
fast.
back. Stars, those are galaxies. The stars
Yeah.
are stuff items.
Right. The stars are the starbursts in them.
Yep, starburst.
The galaxies that are out there, and just imagine all the different types of life. I mean, it may not be humanoid, it may not be what we think of as life, but the different minerals and all of the things that must exist out
Uh,
there. Can you imagine?
well, it's almost hard to imagine. I mean, just
Yeah,
from the sheer scale, because what the cool thing is, what I like to look at is, if you go back 100 years ago, we thought, or I should say, not we, because we weren't alive then, but humans thought that we
I'm
were
not
the
a
center of
vampire.
yeah, we thought that we were the universe. So essentially, the nighttime sky, the Milky Way, humans thought that was the universe. And then Edwin Hubble, did this image. And back then they did images on plates of glass. And when he did this image, he found what looked like a smudge, kind of similar to what you'd see right here on this image. See that
Right.
little, what looks like a, I mean, obviously we could explain what that is these days. But what he seen was a little smudge. It wasn't a nice sharp star in the nighttime sky. And you cleaned his equipment, polish his lenses and blah blah blah. Make sure it wasn't just a fingerprint or something else like that. And then he took another image, and the next one showed the same smudge in the same place, and then he zeroed in on it, and he eventually discovered that it was the Andromeda galaxy, the nearest galaxy to us. And oh, hey Dan, how's it going? And
Daily Dan, greetings from South Carolina. How's it going, bud? We're checking out the new results, the latest and greatest.
yeah, from the James Webb telescope, just released today, fresh off the press, hot off the press from NASA.
JW.
JW. But
JW.
the cool thing in my mind was that Edwin Hubble 100 years ago discovered Andromeda galaxy, and that then made us humans realize that we're not the center of the universe. We're not within the universe. That we're just in one galaxy. And then from there, what the Hubble Space Telescope did, named after Edwin Hubble, um, what it did was expand the number of galaxies from being the Milky Way galaxy and then the Milky Way and the Andromeda galaxy too, to now we're up to trillions. And then now we're looking at the James Webb Space Telescope image, and this is the furthest that humans have ever appeared into the universe. And much like you and I were talking about weeks ago, my suspicion was it was just going to show more of the same, and the number would have to be revised up because this image shows nothing but, other than these stars in the near field, you can tell what are stars by the starburst. Everything else in the image is galaxies. And so, and the interesting thing is, you pick any one of these, like you pick this one right here, and that, the average galaxy has on average about 150 to 300 billion stars. The largest galaxy that I've seen, I can't remember the name, is like M80 or something like that, has like a trillion stars. But the average galaxy has about 150 billion to 300 billion stars. Milky Way has about close to 300 billion stars. And when you think about that, every star is a solar system. Just like, in our solar system, the sun is the star at the center. There's planets and moons and asteroids and comets and all kinds of other things floating around it. And to think that any star, or I mean, any galaxy in this image, has on average hundreds of billions of stars, and there's trillions of galaxies. I mean, you do the math: a trillion galaxies times even a low number, 100 billion stars. I mean, I don't even know what that number would be, but I know it's going to be pretty large. And that's just how many galaxies, or I mean, how many solar systems there would be in the visible universe. And then you factor in how many planets on average are around the average star, and how many moons. And I mean, we don't even have those numbers because they've been discovering planets around around stars in our galaxy. I think
Thanks,
they're
Dan.
I think they're above like 500 discovered planets. I mean, I
Right?
didn't keep up with the number.
At least, yeah, I don't, right. I don't know any of that numbers offhand anymore. I used to
Yep,
be into watching all the stars and planets and all of that good stuff.
yep.
I'm gonna I'm gonna bust into this. This is one of before we keep going on our star journey today.
Oh,
Uh,
Green Raven, Green Raven.
Green Raven, woohoo! So
Should I
I'm
not? Wait, should I
crack.
unshare the screen so you can make it make what you're doing full screen? Here,
I'm
let's
gonna yeah. Well, I'm
watch
gonna
this.
crack into
There we go.
last week's. Um, this is the last of the 10th planet that I
Oh,
got from Green
hey,
Raven last week.
alert, alert, it's empty.
Alert! Alert! So this one is the cultivator on this one is House OP. So let's see here. The total THC is 206 milligrams with 1.46 terpenes, and the total cannabinoids is 23.48%. So the breakdown on this one, total THC 20, what is that? 20.59. Total the THCA is 23.48, and then the rest is all zeros. But this was a great combination with the slurricane, and that's what the bud tender had suggested.
Oh, I
And
remember
so
that.
it
Yeah, that was
worked
good.
out really nice. That was a nice mix. But this week I stopped by Green Raven again on my little journey into town to go.
Wait, you got your Green Raven hoodie on.
Yes. So on my way into town, I stopped by Green Raven again. And of course, I always get their
Nice.
pre-pack.
Yep.
the multi-pack of pre-rolls that they have in their tin, and it's 12 pre-rolls, and they're half-gram pre-rolls, and you buy the tin, the first time you get it, it's like $65. But when you bring the tin back for a refill, it's $55. And I'm telling you, this is a great, great deal. Hey, Nana Boss, welcome. This is a
Hello.
great deal in many ways because also a lot of times with joints, if they have runs or they don't smoke consistently, things like that, it gets really frustrating. But I have never had a problem with these pre-rolls ever. I love these pre-rolls.
Nice.
Yeah,
They have
it's a
a good
great
roller.
deal and great quality. And they have the mix in it is Grape Fuel and Crazy Glue, which are
Oh,
both really good.
Crazy Glue is like really, really popular.
Yeah, yeah. So it works out really good.
Nice.
So, but I did, get a couple extra little pre-rolls on the side. So I'm going to try this 10th planet out while we're discussing some more, but I've got more goodies to show you after we keep rolling a little bit. Yeah, Crazy Glue it's really good. It's a good stuff.
Yep.
Nanobus, I don't know if you've seen this. Derek has been sharing these wonderful pictures from the latest telescope, the JW telescope. I mean, I'm abbreviating it.
James Webb. Yep. James Webb. Yep. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's pretty exciting. I'm excited. I think every human, should be excited, at the achievements of, that are
Yep.
being, in the evolution of science,
Yeah.
able to peer back as
There's
far as we're able to peer.
yeah, and the pictures that they've come out with and the difference has been pretty astonishing, actually.
Should I pull it back up?
Sure, go for it.
All right,
And
pulling it
keep
back.
discussing while I'm trying out different stuff here.
I'm gonna
Do you
try
have
out.
anything in particular that you've got to try out? Do we get
I do.
Alien Wedding up that way? I haven't seen it.
I don't have Alien Wedding, but I do have a
You
lot of.
haven't?
I don't have that particular stream, but I do have a lot of Alien type stuff up here. But
Aha, right on.
since you asked what I'm sharing today, what I have is um, I have my Paxera, and I'm
Ooh,
smoking watermelon,
okay.
and so as you can see on
Oh, that's
the
the flavor of my Warito I'm drinking.
uh, oh, nice, nice. Oh, that'd go perfect out here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could see that the TH. So I'll read it. It's not focusing. It's 400 milligrams THC, 2.5 milligrams CBD, THC 80%, CBD 0.5%. Um, but it has that delicious taste of watermelon. So I got it right here. Here's my packs. Let me
Nice. Those
unshare, let
PAX
me,
pens are nice.
let me unshare my screen. Yep. So the one that I have has an accent on it, and so when I pull it out, it shows the charge. Here's
Do
the
you
water.
use the app with your PAX pen?
No, I don't. I just
It
popped on.
has an app that you can adjust the heat settings on it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I do have my E pin, which I don't have right in front of me. Where did I put it? My E pin has two buttons. So I have the button for on and off, and then I have a separate button where I could go through four different stages of very low, because it's basically a vaporizer, just like this.
Uh-huh.
I like to call them disintegrators because it sounds cooler. Vaporizer sounds more like water kind of
Uh,
thing. But it has four different settings, so I could go from very minimal up to like roasting kind of thing. But this one doesn't have any settings. But I don't even know if this one has an app. But it's delicious watermelon.
Nice. Yeah, the PAX pen is a great pen for the concentrates.
Yep, good stuff. Good stuff. Tastes so good though. Watermelon. I got mango too in the Northern Lights. This will be coming up later. All right,
So
back to
none
this
of
year.
us is saying that she's having trouble finding strong gummies in Florida. I'm hoping
Oh,
that with
use
the
me.
more that this becomes acceptable in the states, that the federal bans against it will drop, and then dispensaries and cultivators can share their products from state to state, because right now it is federally illegal to transport cannabis out of out of your state lines. So
Well, we're gonna have to talk to the Fed.
exactly. So until the feds, and they need to get on board, because right now, ooh, there you go.
Organic
The
fruit snacks.
cultivators and the dispensaries are having a very difficult time with banking, because they cannot bank with um that, since it's not federally legal, they are not able to go into a bank and use the banking services along with their business. And so there's a lot of hangups that need to be resolved, and that would become with it becoming federally legalized. And that needs to be the biggest focus and push, really, is making it federally legal,
Well, you know
because it would
you know
help.
the interesting thing is, this, we're all taught that it's majority rules in this
Right,
country, and if you look at, there's a majority of states, 50 states, over 25 of them, cannabis is legal in one form or another, whether it's medicinally owned, medicinal only, recreational, or and I don't think it needs to go beyond that, because when it's recreational, that means everything goes. So
right,
some states it's medicinal, which is one notch above not legal at all, and then above that is recreational, which means any kind of usage. Um, but there's over 25 states where it's legal in one form or another, and so I think the Fed has no choice but to, at some point in time, to remove it from one class, what do they call it, Class A uh, drugs.
right.
The
The
Schedule,
Schedule 1.
yeah, Schedule One. Thank you. I don't know why I was saying Class One, but Schedule One. They have to remove it from that, and then they have to legalize it, because there's always this argument. Oh, let the states govern themselves and majority rules and blah blah blah. Okay, well, the states have spoken. There's a
The
majority.
states have spoken, the people have spoken. Exactly.
Yeah, and so they, let's. What are you waiting for, Fed? Get this shit over. If you want to tax it, fine. Just just fucking legalize it.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the problem, is they're still taxing. So these dispensaries and these cultivators are still paying taxes,
yep,
yet they're not getting the representation.
yep,
So again, the things that our country was built upon are just becoming shredded apart, by these
yep,
ridiculous laws. And again, it is a ridiculous law. Our country was built off of growing hemp.
yep.
And
Oh yeah,
so to be in this flux of some states have it legal, fully recreation, some have medicinal only, and others still haven't quite caught up with the plea of the people, and so there's the there's so many hangups, but the big part that businesses can't bank, and there's not a lot that they can do financially
yep,
with their finances, yet they're still getting taxed. So at some point there needs to be lines drawn, And another thing that you find out in the industry, which is kind of frustrating, especially as consumer and as, a business owner, all of these things, the frustrating part is when you have private testers.
hmm,
So they have a private testing system. So if people are paying off these testing systems or have some kind of buddy buddy deal going on, they will get their tests higher. Some of these cultivators may even sugar, it's what they call sugar their samples, where they'll take some of the higher concentrate and, roll it all up in there and provide that as a sample.
Mhm.
And then that will make those numbers elevated a lot higher. And so if they're getting taxed to the levels that they're being taxed at, which are off the chart ridiculous, especially for cultivators, you know, it it's almost it's causing a lot of the businesses to fold just
Yeah.
straight up from the taxes alone.
The crazy thing is, so I'm going to draw a parallel here. A little over a week and a half ago, the Supreme Court, um, after their current round of the stuff that they've been doing, I don't want to get into those kind of politics, but the parallel I'm going to draw is they kind of remove some of the things between separation of church and state. You and I
Mhm.
talked about this last week, um, following some of the other things that they overturned. So they basically, and I didn't follow the whole story, but there were basically the gist that I got out of it, something to the effect that churches can now seek funding at a state level, um, to help grow their business or this that whatever. And the thing I had mentioned a few days ago when you and I kind of touched on that was, well, okay, maybe they're going to start taxing churches. Because my understanding is that churches in this country can't be taxed because of the separation of church and state. And it's like, okay, so now we're talking about the cannabis industry and growers and stuff like that. Now they're being taxed, and as you know, like through the roof. And it's
Mhm.
okay, so cannabis is still illegal on the federal level, but yet you're having a level of taxation at a state and local level, which is crazy through the roof. But then when you have something similar, or on the other side of the spectrum, like churches, it's like, why are churches being able to function tax free, but yet they could seek funding and stuff like that now due to the Supreme Court overruling. They can now seek funding at a state level, which kind of like you were hinting at. Um, Growers and people in the cannabis industry can't seek lines of credit at a bank, I'm assuming, because it's illegal federally, but churches can. It's like,
Right.
but in our Constitution, it clearly says one of the founding things, even before the First Amendment, Second Amendment, blah blah blah, there was separation of church and state. That came like way at the beginning. That's one of the reasons why all the people supposedly fled to England to come over to colonies because they wanted, you know, uh, freedom of religion.
Freedoms.
Exactly, freedoms, and it started with freedom of religion, but then it became ingrained in our country's fabric that there's separation of church and state, and to keep those freedoms there. And it's like, well, okay, well then maybe we need to separate certain other things out. Okay, so separate out the cannabis industry, freedoms of the cannabis industry, freedoms, for those, there's the argument of people who are, gun owners, freedoms of
Mhm.
rights. There's people out there with other freedoms, freedom of abortion, freedoms of that. So, the thing is, when you have, the problem in this country is we have large segments of the country and they all want their own little thing, and it might not be interconnected. This group wants cannabis. This group wants abortion. This group wants guns. This group wants this. Blah blah blah. It's like, well, okay, so is it a majority? Well, if it's a majority, boom, you got it. You know, if it's not, well, okay, so we're gonna have to figure out how to work things out for those people. We don't want to. In my opinion, it shouldn't just be ignored.
Right. Well,
You know,
it goes further because without it being federally legal, let's say you want to start a cultivation shop. Let's say you want to create a dispensary, either or both, whatever,
I do.
and this is something you want to get into the business. You can't go get a loan. So you can't even go get a loan. So it all has to come out of pocket. This is where it gets really disturbing. It all has to come out of pocket, and yet there's certain taxation breaks that then you don't get. You don't get the breaks of a business owner that you should have.
And the taxes
So these exactly, so you're not able to get the write-offs and the things that you should be able to get with a business. And so now all of these business owners that are in this situation are now not able to do their write-offs, or not able to do the things that a normal business should and could and would do. And so it's really difficult for cultivators and dispensaries to stay afloat. It really is.
I heard an interesting thing the other day is that comparing the cannabis industry with the bar industry.
Mhm.
So cannabis dispensaries, as far as like if you look at a footprint of a typical cannabis dispensary and a footprint of a typical bar, average, whatever, and you look at their average sales or whatever based on their footprint, the average bar is going to make more sales than the average dispensary. There's a lot more bars, obviously, than there are dispensaries, so that average for the bars is really more accurate. Um, so when you look at bars, how much money they make, and then how much
Right.
they're taxed, you could plot that out, whatever, and figure it out based on state or nationally or whatever. That's easy to do. And the same thing with dispensaries. You could plot out how much the average dispensary, based on footprint, trying to compare apples to apples, how much they make and how much they're taxed. And it's a very big difference between, bar and its taxes compared to dispensary and its taxes. I mean, a huge, huge jump.
Yeah.
And that's one of the crazy things is like here in Florida, well, in Orlando, every dispensary that I've seen is commercial, corporate, I should say. I haven't seen any mom and pop style dispensaries. Meaning, like when you're going to a food place, you could tell a chain to a big sit down restaurant to a
Mhm.
mom and pop shop.
Right.
That's what you could tell. Dispensaries or even bars, you could tell a big chain of
Right,
bars.
like your local. Yep.
But dispensaries here in Orlando, they're all
Right,
corporate.
and that is how the system is basically set up.
You
So
have to have a shit ton of money.
right.
It's like they don't want mom and pops
No.
to get into this line of business.
No.
So they want to keep it for the rich in order to make it profit. And it's kind of like a saying that Chris Rock said in one of his stand-up comedies. I think it was Bigger and Blacker like a decade ago. I feel like Chris Rock. I love stand-up comedy, so I watch everybody. He said something to the effect, "They don't want you to do your drugs; they want you to do their drugs." You know, when talking about the government, the
Right.
government
Yeah,
doesn't
no,
want
that
you to
makes
do your
sense.
drugs; they want you to do their drugs. And so at
Right.
dispensaries, it's all highly, highly regulated, as you know. I mean,
Mhm.
there's the grower side of things is like super, super regulated, and then each like here in Orlando, each of the dispensaries, since they're only corporate dispensaries, and there's no mom and pop dispensaries, corporate dispensaries, and so the growers that they get, a lot of them have their own, they have their own grow operation.
Right.
And I can only imagine all of them are like that since they're corporate. They have the big bucks. They have their own grower operation. And but I know some other states, like let's say New Mexico or even Alaska, have smaller um, scale situations where they're allowed to have kind of like mom and pop grow operations and stuff like that. You know,
Right, and that's what happened, like, a lot of people that tried to get into it started, and most of them, there's so many people that ended up going bankrupt over it. Because, like, let's say for, like, Alaska, let's say you were going to get into it. Before you even get your approval for your license, you already have to have your building. You have to have all of that stuff already set up and lined out, an address, all of these things. So if you're having to pay rent or sit on a building for months hoping you're gonna get your license, and if they deny you, then you're out all that money, and you have to wait a whole other, what, 6 months or up to a year before you can even apply again.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Uh-huh.
I can only see things having to ease up. I mean, majority rules, majority of states have spoken and have spoken over years. I mean, this isn't a today thing. I mean,
No.
we passed the 25 state threshold many,
Yes.
many years ago. And interesting thing is, I seen on the news earlier today where some politician somewhere, I don't know who it was, I don't care their background or whatever, but I remember what they said. They said, "Oh, mass shootings today can be attributed to the marijuana, face tattoos, and a couple other things." I'm like, none of these things have anything to do with anything. It's like marijuana has it. I
They need to remove the stigma against it, and that's part of that stigma is they put it in there with these classes that they don't belong there at all.
how many people have you heard dying at the hands of someone high?
Well, and that's just the thing is most
I mean,
most of
I'm sure there's
right,
some.
but most of your average, like, if you take your group of friends and you take the people that you know that enjoy cannabis, most of your cannabis users that are strictly just into cannabis, they're not trying all these other assorted things as well, but your that is your general cannabis user, is they're not into other things, and most of them are very
Chill.
calm, laid back, more matured. Some of them, are excited if they, but they're not into the things that are disruptive in most of your societal norms. And that's kind of the difference, I think, is most of your cannabis people just want to sit back and enjoy themselves and
You and
enjoy the high that they're enjoy, it's an enjoyment, whether it's food, whether it's all of these things that go along with it, that, and in company. Most people that are enjoying cannabis love to enjoy it with someone else. They love to hang out, like we're doing now, and talk about it and try out different things. That's one of the things that I love about all these having dispensaries and all these different varieties.
yep.
But now that I've got the cat off my lap, let me show you my goodies. So we
Wait.
stopped in. Oh,
Before you go, I wanted to give a one little comment on the tail end of what you just said.
okay.
So you and I have been on. We've been smoking for decades each,
Yes.
and we both spent a lot of our time smoking up in Alaska. Even going back to the old days when it was like dry seasons
Yeah.
and not dry season. So we've seen the evolution. Now, me growing up in like North Pole, Fairbanks area, grew up with a lot of people who smoked and a lot of people who drank and a lot of people who did both. And I've never ever had, as me personally, never ever seen or had a friend that ever did anything remotely illegal or criminal or any shit like that high. Now I have many of friends, on the other hand, uh, while intoxicated, doing all
Uh-huh.
kinds of crazy ass shit.
Mm-hmm.
Friends, you know, running from cops. Friends doing, I've one of my oldest, or I should say oldest, but one of the first friends I could ever remember, like back in '75, was in jail for life for murder. They got out in like '99, and then within 6 months they murdered again, and now they're back in for life. So and that was both of those situations. They were intoxicated. I have friends do all kinds of other crazy things intoxicated. None of my friends ever did anything while high. Me myself, I drink, I smoke, a wide variety of stuff. I've been in trouble with the law, as you know. I've never got in trouble with anything major. My stuff was all minor stuff, but most of it was intoxicated.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. And like I
and
said, yeah,
never ever did I get in trouble high.
Yeah,
and
most people are trying to enjoy themselves and not create chaos.
being high is high off of cannabis, I
Right,
should is a very chill, easygoing high. It's not like any of the, what do you call it, Schedule One
right. They
drugs.
just doesn't belong on the list. They're not in
It
the
doesn't
same
belong on
field at
any
all.
list. It doesn't belong on any list. But anyway,
Right.
sorry for interrupting. So show us the goodies.
No.
Woo!
It's party time.
Yeah,
So
goodies.
check out. So I was in there talking to the ladies. I love Green Raven. That is definitely my favorite dispensary by far
Oh, show the
for
back.
many reasons. And now, for sure, ta-da!
Woo-wee.
So here's the sleeve.
Wasilla AK.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And ready? Let's see. Okay, I'm not gonna moon anybody, so here we go. Can you see it? Ta-da!
Woohoo! Yeah, Green Raven. Yeah, I like that graphic.
Yes.
Little plug. I could do better. I could do better, but that's a nice one.
Yeah. So yay, Green Raven.
Green
So I
Raven.
scored me a nice little hoodie. And guess what? In time for my birthday.
2 days, people. 2 days. 13th
13th. On the 13th is my birthday, Wednesday.
is celebration. Oh,
Yeah. And so
uh,
excuse me, they hooked me up though. They
so
hooked me up.
my
Not only
visual.
did I get this awesome swag, I got some killer discounts. And that's one of the things when you find a dispensary that you like, stick with them, stay loyal with them, and do what you can. It's also nice to check out the different ones and check out different dispensaries and share the love around. But when I find a dispensary that I really enjoy, not only the quality of product that they have, but their bud tenders, themselves and how they handle their, you know, I want to say patients, but it's customers really, and how they treat everybody. And their customer service at Green Raven is always stellar, and they have never failed me. So when I've been always going in there and usually picking out stuff, but lately I've been letting the bud tenders pick out a few for me. So this will be really interesting to see um what they pulled out. So Green Raven,
Nice.
for all the listeners that may see this now or later, or the millions that are out there. um Green Raven is in Alaska. It's in Wasilla, and it's located off the Parks Highway. And so as you're heading out of town or into town, you can stop by there and check them out for yourself. So, in our goodie bag for the day, let me just give you a peek. Ta-da!
I see 2 tins. I see 6 cylinders and 3 Ziplocs. It looks like so
There's
seven
lots of goodies.
cylinders.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
scored. So I
trick or
love
treat.
getting,
Trick or treat.
yeah, dig in, dig in. So I'm trying to get more consistent with bringing my tins back, because 4 tins is basically the legal amount up here. You can get just a little bit more after that, but the 4 tins is puts you at your limit. They're not up to Oregon's limits yet, so hopefully
So,
soon. And that's
so
another thing.
what's Alaska's limited? I mean, is it
One
three
ounce.
ounce? What? Oh, so 1 ounce total of all the different
Yeah,
styles.
total,
Okay,
with even with edibles and everything. Where that's not the same in Oregon. In Oregon, you're allowed 2 ounces and edibles and stuff like that. So
I got you beat. Uh, I have 3.2 ounces.
woo, in
Yep. And
Florida.
here in Florida, I believe it's 3.54 ounces.
Medicinal though, right? That's medicinal. It's not recreational yet.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Not recreational yet.
Well, good to know. See, and it's woohoo! Look at that display. Cha-la-la-la-la-la.
I even have more up here too.
Nice. Well,
With an arm.
I always love stuff from my favorite cultivator, of course, is Moon Forest Gardens.
Ooh, yeah, that's a
Look,
badass container too. I like that.
I put their logo on my grinder.
Oh, okay. So here's a quiz question: is that a waxing moon or a waning moon? Most people wouldn't even know. It all depends on what side the sun is
Which,
on.
yep, which side the sun is on.
I'll leave the viewers to figure that out.
Yeah, we'll let them guess. Does it involve? No, I'm kidding. All right, so first off, the gate, and I got just some little baggies because my limits. So the limits up here. Hi, Mimo. Mimo's coming to join us. She's got to come give her opinion on things. So, Time Bandit.
She thinks it's catnip.
Yeah, it's catnip. It's her kind of catnip. So I love the packaging too at Green Raven.
Nice.
So this is Time Bandit.
Yep.
It's beautiful looking. Pretty dense looking. And the cultivator on that is High North. And the total.
Hey, Jackie, I got someone at my door. I'm gonna run down and check it real quick.
Okay, no worries.
No worries. I'll be right back.
Okay. I'll just keep talking.
Yep, I'll be right back.
Okay. So the total cannabinoids on this is 27.83 and total THC is 24.4 and the THCA is 27.83 and they've got CBGA at 0.79. And so that is your Time Bandit. And you can get this at Green Raven. And the cultivator again is High North. So this is great. Again, these are a nice little variety pack I got here. So next up, strawberry banana sherbet or sherbet. It's not sherbet. That's another Mandela, I think. So strawberry banana sherbet. Let's give you a good look at that one. And this one has the total cannabinoids on this is 26.93. Total THC straight across twos, 22.22. THCA 24.6. And then CBGA is 1.68. So again, this is, I'm sorry, the cultivator on this is Snow-Capped Gardens. So Snow-Capped Gardens strawberry banana sherbet.
What the hell, strawberry banana sherbet?
Yeah.
What the heck? I came back at a good time. I want some of that.
So, do you remember it being sherbet as well or sherbet?
No, I remember it as sherbet, but maybe that was what that name brand was calling it sherbet.
I don't know. I think that's a Mandela effect.
Huh?
If you're into that stuff.
Kitty.
So, next out the gate, we have got. Oh, did I get two of these? This is, well, wait. Yeah, so I got two of these. That's another strawberry banana. Strawberry banana sherbet. What do we got here? Oh, okay. Now these two, I got two of these. This one is Big Smooth from Cottonmouth Cannabis Company.
I like that name. That's a cool name.
Big Smooth.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice looking bud there. And the total cannabinoids is 30.86. This is going to be a nice heavy hitter. Total THC 26.29, THCA 29.25. And then for total CBDs is 0.22. You've got CBDA at 0.25 and CBGA at 0.55. Big Smooth. And the cultivator, Cottonmouth Cannabis.
Nice. I was thinking one of these days, if you haven't already done so, we should give a breakdown as to what each one of those CBDs and THCs.
Yes.
what each one is,
Yeah. I
and
keep
the
thinking that every time I read these off. I'm like, we need to go through what these are, what the terpenes are, all of that. Kind of do
terpenes.
like an
Easiest
edumacation.
terpenes is the easiest thing. Every plant has terpenes, so like pine or citrus, or things like that. Uh,
Mhm.
you could, I mean, just off of a citrus, I mean, you can name all kinds of things: oranges, lemons, limes, blah blah blah. But cannabis also has those too, like tange, kind of thing. And so terpenes is just the flavor of things. Easy to figure out.
There you go. She said we read her mind. Okay, so that's another time bandit. I already did time bandit, right? Yep, I did time bandit. So
I'm just
those were my flowers. Oh, I scored some stickers too.
what
Everybody
the
knows how
hell?
I love stickers. Cha-cha-cha.
Ooh, looks like a lifesaver.
Yeah, let's see. Canamo Concepts.
Mm.
I think that's a cultivator. I'm gonna guess. And then this one here, I want to send it to my sister, but probably not. Rosie Creek Farm.
Oh, for row.
Yeah, it's in Fairbanks.
You should get the find a green marker, that same color, dark green, and cross out the SIE and just have it Row Creek Farm.
Yeah. Okay, so ready? Look at that.
2, 4, 6, 8. Looks like 8, 9.
Who do we appreciate?
Woo! In
Go,
Latifa.
go back into the. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna. There. We'll set that down so I don't crinkle the bag. Keep crinkling. What do we have? We have first out the gate Ghost Mints from High Vibes.
Nice. You should let Kitty sniff some of these every now and then. Kitty's just staring at you like crazy. Thinks it's a brush or something. Cats are so funny.
All right. Okay. That's Mimo approved,
Yeah,
apparently.
approved.
Approved. Mimo approved of the Ghost Mints.
I
And the
wonder.
total cannabinoids is 28.51, total THC 25, THCA 28.5, and none of the CBDs or Gs or. So there you go. So again, that was the Ghost Mints. Next up, I got another 10th Planet. That's a score. We know I like those. And that one is from House OP. Oh, don't be. No, now Mimo's trying to get it out of the bag here. And yeah, so the total cannabinoids on this is 23.48. Total THC 20.59. THCA 23.48. And there's no CBDs. 0. That's the 10th Planet. Available at Green Raven. I got a couple of those. Couple of each of those. Couple of each. Ooh.
Couple
Ooh.
of each.
Yeah. So I've got some GMO. Picked up some GMO.
What's that?
Nice. That's the brand. And that cultivator for GMO is Freedom 49 Farms. So the total THC is 23.59, THCA is 26.9, and there's 0 of the CBDs. Let's see if Mimo's just walking away. But that's GMO. Nice. I think I've got a couple of those, of course. Yep. Oh, wait. Ooh, Buffy.
Vampire Slayer?
They hooked me up. So I let the bud tender. So this is bud tender's choice.
Oh,
So
okay, cool.
she hooked me up. Oh man. Loving this. So this is Buffy. And the cultivator is Freedom 49 Farms.
Cool. Yep. Coming in clear.
All right. So the total THC on this is 22.65, THCA 24.93, THCVA is 0.15, and the total CBD is under 0.10. So the CBDA is 0.2, so 0.24. CBGA is 0.43. Oh, that'll be nice.
What was the
That'll be
main THC again on that one?
on the main THC on this Buffy from Freedom 49 Farms is total THC 22.65.
Okay.
Total cannabinoids is 26.57.
So 22 THC and about 10% CBD, roughly.
0.10, yep.
Point 10.
Yeah, under. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good balance.
Yeah. And then next up, oh, this one is Girl Scout cookies from Rosie Creek Farm. That's where the sticker I got.
I want Samoas.
Girl Scout cookie.
You know, those
And the
cookies.
total cannabinoids is 24.43. Total THC 21.43. THCA 24.43. And then the CBGA is 1.05. So this Buffy and Girl Scouts at nighttime would probably be perfect. Put you to night land, right?
Nice.
Yeah. And so there you go. There's my goodies from Green Raven. Wow.
Nice. One suggestion for Green Raven, it would probably be good for them to add on their labels if they're sativas or indicas or hybrids, and if they are hybrids, if they're sativa dominant or indica dominant. Because some of the brands that I get down here, they do list those, not all of them, but I tend to lean towards the ones that list them because the ones that don't, if I smoke them, like right now, my time it's almost 9 o'clock. So if I just grabbed some random bud and I didn't know if it was indica or sativa, I grabbed the wrong type. Like if I grabbed a sativa, especially if it's a higher percentage one, I'm going to be up for a lot longer. It's like drinking a
Right.
Red Bull. So at this time, at nighttime, I typically lean towards indica. In the morning or in the afternoon, I'd lean towards sativa. So, that's just one of my
That's
personal
a good
preferences.
suggestion. Yeah, because I prefer indica, but if they've got a heavy hit in sativa, well, I shouldn't say if. Sometimes I do like a sativa, like Moon Forest Gardens, their big AK. I'm telling you, if you need something done, that is the most productive cannabis on the planet, pretty much. You will.
Well, you know me, I got a high metabolism, so drinking, I don't drink Red Bulls, and I don't really need indicas or caffeine or anything like that because I already got the high metabolism. But that's why. Well, even during the daytime, I'll smoke only sativas. I won't smoke indicas because I like to stay productive.
Yeah.
And then at nighttime, I'll like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. I'll only smoke indicas. I don't want to be awake until 2 or 3 in the morning, kind of thing.
Well, I'm gonna mix these up. So these are all indica or a hybrid. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And I'll pick two out. Not looking. Okay, pick a hand. Right or left?
That one.
Which one?
This one.
Right, left?
That would be your left.
My left. Okay.
Because
So that was
using my right hand, so I was tapping the hand.
Ghost Mints.
Ooh, those, I like
Ghost
that name.
Mints.
Yep.
And this is from High Vibes. All right, let's give it a whirl. What do you got over there?
Well, I got a dispensary right behind me.
I dropped one.
And I also got my hard candies.
Nice.
Got cherry, apple, lemon, and mango. And just to give you an example of one of these, Here's my mango. 71.5% THC, 1% CBD. These are strong. These are gonna these will. There's 5 per pack.
Nice. Oh,
But
nice.
71.5% THC.
Whew.
Yeah, one of these little lifesaver size things kick you in the butt.
Oh, that's great.
Right.
Nice.
Yep.
Mandarin orange. I agree. None of us. I
Yep.
agree.
Yep. But you're mentioning mint, so
I love the mandarin orange.
I'm gonna
That's my
scroll.
favorite flavor for hard candies.
That sounds good. So you're mentioning mint.
I do have tangerine from Creative Confections. I got these at Green Raven as well. These are
Nice.
more like a taffy, chewable.
So I'm looking at what I have here, and I got a couple different mints. I got some, like I have a gram left of Sin Mint cookies, only
Oh,
gram.
okay.
Since you were mentioning mints, this is THC 19.3, CBD 0%. It kind of has a piney taste. I get a gram of that, but I do have. You're mentioning tange. You like tangerine?
Yes.
I have a lot of tangerine. I have tangerine cookies. I have uh, Citrus Samurai, which is a tange, and I got Tangy. So I got 3 tange nominates.
Whoa.
And see, I have them color coded because that way I could tell. See, I got 4 different colors: yellow, blue, black, and red, and that lets me know if it's sativa, indica, or sativa dominant hybrid or indica dominant hybrid. So I got them separated in the 4 different categories. And then, so this one here is called Tangy. I got a quarter of that ground up. Here is an eighth of Citrus Samurai, um, non-ground. Haven't got to that one yet. And then this one's called Tangerine Cookies. And then I got an eighth of that.
Oh,
But yeah, all those are tangerine,
tangerine flavor.
yeah, tangerine dominance, or tangerine strain. Um, but yeah, I got a little bit of everything variety wise.
Nice. So what are you going to try out first? I like this ghost mint. It's pretty good.
But what I'm smoking right now is my watermelon. I
Nice.
packed watermelon.
Watermelon, sugar.
Yeah, this one's 80% THC.
Ah,
Yep, 80% THC, 0.5% CBD, 400 milligrams THC as far as quantity. But yeah, it's pretty good strong stuff.
yeah. They've got those cannabis numbers are a lot higher than your flower numbers.
Yep, yep. Yeah, well, yeah, some of these,
Oh,
I have these tangies. Let's see,
yeah, Marty,
strongest
that would be awesome
is that?
because I think that is I think it helps a lot of people understand more and take this stigma of cannabis, at least to help remove a lot of it because there's so many people that are still able to function. They're not just, couch potatoes or loaves. It really does provide relief. And I would far rather use something like cannabis than take an opioid,
Yep.
myself. I definitely prefer cannabis over opioids. But yet I'm in a situation where my pain is just out of control. To get it functional sometimes, Derek's even had to deal with me on those conversations where my pain, I just cannot get ahead of it, and
No,
it's really
you and I
difficult. Hey,
have always
Daniela, welcome.
you and I've always seen beyond certain things. I mean, I mean, you've seen my situations. I've seen
Yep.
yours. We've been friends for so long, and and not just the classical sense of friends. I mean, we been very open and stuff like that, and so we know each other's trials and tribulations and stuff, and always been there and stuff like that, and that's always the cool thing. I did want to jump back to what you were talking about on the cannabis side and not taking an opioid is it made me think. Well, you've always been creative, and then I started thinking, well, most of the people that I know that smoke cannabis, as opposed to doing other kinds of things like drinking or doing other kinds of drugs, most of the cannabis consumers seem to be creative types. I don't know if there's any connection or whatever. I mean, I'm sure there's creative types in all kinds of walks in life, kind of thing. I know well, from what I understand, Edgar Allan Poe, for example, used to do acid. I don't know if that's true. That's just what I heard. And he was like a great American, writer.
Writer. Yeah.
Yep.
One of my favorites. I
Yep.
love his stuff. Nevermore.
And I've heard stories about Leonardo DiCaprio, Leonardo da Vinci. The one who did the Sistine Chapel, I think it is, and then the statue of Michael, I believe it's called.
Leo D. Yeah.
Yeah, the from what I understand, he used to do opioids, or some really strong kind of thing. I
Okay.
don't know if that's 100% true or whatever. These are just things that I've heard or read. And then I remember reading a story like when he was going to carve that famous sculpture of Michael, the naked guy sitting down, doing like he's thinking.
Oh, the thinking man.
Yeah, or yeah, maybe that was the name of it. I don't know. But from what I understand, he was given a block of marble, and for 2 years he was sitting there trying to contemplate what he was going to carve out of it because he knew he'd only get one shot. And then, interestingly, it was almost a self-reflection because a lot of the time he'd just be sitting there thinking about what he was going to do over those 2 years. And then he did this. Obviously, he didn't do a self-portrait, but he did someone else sitting there, thinking. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, that is.
there's a lot of famous creative types or consumers of something because it's a good escape sometimes.
Yep. There's a lot of different. I don't find that cannabis is mind altering in a way, but I guess there are a lot of people that do have a complete mind altering experience on cannabis, where they can see things and hear things, but I've never had that
Yeah,
experience with it. So there are some people that it works for. It's not for everybody, you know. And so
I have on other substances. It's like when I lived up in North Bulgaria. Now I never done anything crazy or anything that was like federally illegal or anything like that. But off of cannabis, never had any trips. I should say.
yeah.
Like when people say, "Oh, they're tripping out," kind of thing.
Yeah.
That kind
Right.
of trip.
Yeah.
Never had one of those kind of things. Now I've been high off my ass before,
Uh yep.
but
Yep.
never done any. Oh, they're tripping.
Wow, I really like that ghost mints. It really did help with the body pain
Nice.
straight out the gate. It's been nice in that regard. Like my back has been being a little booger here lately. I've rescheduled. Uh, yeah, I had uh, a
Medical.
nerve block scheduled for tomorrow, and I went ahead and rescheduled that for next week. I
Did
want to be
you order big?
functional for my birthday,
Yeah.
so Wednesday I don't want to be just like barely able to get around because you just never know how the nerve block is going to go. Sometimes like the last one went really well, and I was able to do my thing, and then met some pain and misery inflicted upon me.
One of the things I visualize um, you on your birthday is what's that?
Ah,
I'm trying to. Here it is. I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find the right
the right image.
the right thing. Yeah, let me see if I can get it here. See if I pull it up, and then I'll share the screen. All right, so I hate ads. Turn down the volume on that ad. I'm obviously on YouTube on my other screen here, trying to find this. I have it queued up like there's an ad, and I can't skip it. I hate that feature. So this is how I visualize you on your birthday.
Excuse me. Okay. Let's
And
see
let me see,
here.
pull it up here, and right about right here. And share screen. Boom, boom. That's how I visualize you. Well, not obviously you're female, but
Oh,
you're just throwing out.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
gonna be me. I'm gonna
yeah,
come sliding out onto the porch.
I'm
Woo!
trying to find the part where he ran across the floor in his socks and slid across.
Yep.
I couldn't find that in the short amount. I didn't want to hold everybody up. Anyway, that's kind of the first visual I see of you on your birthday is just doing
There
that.
you go. That is exactly gonna be it. Because this, I had this whole thing planned where I was gonna go to town, hang out with my mom. We were gonna do all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And I just decided, you know what? This this is the one time in my entire life. I'm over 50 years old. Come on now. Like, it's not like I'm a
You're
spring
over
chicken here. But
You
this
look,
will be
you
the
look like a
first
spring
time.
chicken.
This will be the first time in my whole life that I can spend my birthday by myself doing whatever I want to do.
That's why
And
I showed
I'm yeah, it should like come rolling out.
be running around in just a button-up shirt and underwears and socks and just run around.
Sunglasses. Yeah, with a big old spleef.
The next
Pretty
clip I would have showed would have been from Home Alone.
oh,
Macaulay
there you go.
Culkin when he first realized he was home, he left and the rest of the family left him at the airport or whatever, and
Yeah.
doing all that crazy shit, destroying the whole house, kind of thing.
Yeah, when it was in full party mode. Yeah. So I
So
think
I'd
that's gonna
imagine the
be
background behind you is going to change from Wednesday to Thursday because what's behind you probably won't still exist,
right?
in its normal form.
Exactly. It'll be you never know what you're gonna get.
Yep.
So I'm excited by that. I'm excited by that opportunity. So Wednesday, now I have no plans except I'm gonna go from now this is a thing on your birthday. I don't know if people know this. Excuse me. I should not drink Warritos before I go while I'm doing a podcast.
Hiccup.
But on your birthday, you can go to the dispensaries and you can get a killer deal on pre-rolls.
You could go to
Like they
all
can't
the dispensaries.
technically they can't give them to you. So most of them either charge you like a penny, or a dollar or something really. They usually give you a really good deal. So I can't wait. Wednesday I'm going to be running all over getting my good deals. Of course I'm going to be sporting my Green Raven swag at all of them.
Tomorrow's gonna be my birthday as Hank Clanton. And then the day after that, I'm gonna have to change up my look and go in there as his brother. And then the next day, I'm gonna have to change up my look and go in there as his second
Good
brother.
night, Marty.
And then change my look for the next few days to go in there as different family members.
There you go. There you go. Switch it up.
Yep.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna go run around, go get my pre-roll birthday surprises at each place that I can that has them. And well, I don't know. Luckily, gas is starting to come down. We'll see. We'll see how far I go or which ones I go to. We'll see.
Anchorage.
But I'm definitely gonna go and get me a Little Miller's ice cream.
Woo wee! Ice
Yes.
cream. I'll take some.
Yes. Isn't that the best ice cream?
It's
I
good
love it.
stuff.
It's pretty good. So I'm gonna treat myself to Little Miller's
Get some.
and come home and grill me. I think I got a steak that I'm gonna make for my birthday.
Woo wee steak.
Yeah.
I gotta change up my packs here. So the one ran out of juice. Steak sounds good, Rob. What kind of steak are you gonna make?
Uh, which cut did I get?
Are you gonna grill it or
Yes.
pan
Oh
fry
yeah.
it?
Yeah, I've been loving doing the grill thing out there.
Nice.
Re-upping my skills so I can impress the guys when they get back. Be like, check me out.
Nice.
Okay, let's dig in here. I'm just gonna dig one out. Da 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 da. 10th planet is meant to be. That was the other one that was in my other hand. It was the 10th planet. So I'm gonna grab this one. Ooh.
Nice. It's Nibiru. You gotta pronounce it so everybody knows.
So are you gonna bring up the planets? Oh, Nanabas is gonna miss it now. Marty is heading to sleep, but now she's gonna miss
Oh, it's plant.
the latest and greatest. She got to see the old photograph, but she didn't get to see the new one
Ah,
from the James Webb telescope.
that was a very impressive image.
Yes,
I was very.
indeed.
I'm glad to be alive to see that kind of advancement, and to think that all those little tiny little pixelized speckles are probably other galaxies. So now they're gonna have to create something even more powerful to zoom in on those things.
Exactly. Have they shown any more images from there?
That was the only one. The first
That's
and
it.
so far is because they had an unveiling ceremony at the White House, and then also the what do you call him, director of NASA, whoever it is. I don't know what their title is, but the person in charge of NASA was there as well, explaining the image. And
Nice.
I think from what I remember, they were saying it was looking back 13 billion years ago, because the light from those galaxies would have taken
Takes
13
that
billion
long to
years.
travel.
And based on the math and everything that they know currently, they believe the universe started 13.8 billion years ago. So we're zero point 0.8 billion years away from being able. All we got to do is close that little tiny gap. We're 13 billion years into 13.8 billion years,
Wow.
and all we got to do is figure out, close that little zero point 0.8 billion year gap, and then we could see the earliest things, supposedly, according to the math, because scientists believe if you roll back everything that they've been able to visualize, the universe started 13.8 billion years ago in a Big Bang kind of thing. Based on, like, you and I were talking about how everything's supposedly flying away from each other,
Right?
which is very interesting, especially the fact that no matter which galaxy you're standing on, it would
It's
appear that every other
expanding out.
galaxy is moving away from you,
Yeah.
rather than all the galaxies moving in. Like if it's
And away from that, and away from that, and away from that. And it's like this whole
yeah,
but the interesting thing that I keep saying, and I keep saying this, but because I don't think it's really there's not enough thought on it really, is what are we expanding into?
yeah,
If we're expanding out, what's are we like there's obviously
yeah. What's beyond what is?
yes, exactly, from our version of I guess reality.
Yeah, the well, like I was telling you, one of my that you remember that dream I had yesterday, where it was just
Yes.
a very short little bit, but after I woke up, I had thought about that, and it expanded into something bigger, which is something interesting, a plug for one of the Lasser songs called "The Seed Planted in Your Mind." That's the name. It was a long title for a song, "The Seed Planted in Your Mind," and the graphic for it is a side of a human skull looking as if it was CAT scanned or MRI, where you see the skull and the image of the brain and whatever. And there's a little seed in there with a little plant sprouting up out of the skull, and it
Nice.
signifies a thought that then it eventually grows into something bigger. Now, of course, we all experience that for whatever it is. Like, for example, I had a thought one day that I wanted to do architecture and engineering, and then that led to me going to school and learning all kinds of stuff in that field. Or even like, let's say, IT, learning about, that initial thought, oh, I want to do this, and then it grows into, a
Yep.
field kind of
Yep.
thing, or experience. So
Yeah, I was
anyway,
gonna be a lawyer.
oh yeah, yeah. I remember you saying that, and that's a good field to be in. I mean, it's good that knowledge is good to have. I mean, you know, I'm basically almost one. I mean, with all the legal shit that I've, I've been the lawsuits I've been involved in and all that stuff. So it is a good field to have. And I wouldn't turn it down or anything like that. You're smart enough to figure out law because with all your IT and banking and all this other stuff, it wouldn't be that hard to figure out. But anyway, the point that I was trying to make as far as a thought growing into something bigger, was the other day when I had the dream about in the dream, I was plotting out where the center of the universe was. And then, the dream went on to other things. And that's all that there was on that little snippet. But when I woke up, I thought about that. I was like, hmm. And then later on in the day, you and I had that talk, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool to plot out? I mean, since I have, you know, 3D modeling experience going back to 89,
Right.
since I've been doing 3D Studio Max, and
Mhm.
I said, wouldn't it be cool to plot out the movements of the galaxies? Milky Way is moving this way, Andromeda is moving that way, this galaxy that way, whatever. Plot them all out in a 3D model, create a rendering of it, animation of it to show this is the way that they're all moving. And if scientists predict, oh well, galaxy is 13.8 billion years old, because we could extrapolate everything moved out this way, and if you roll back the clock, there's all the singularity. Okay, well, if you guys were able to figure that out, then you should be able to figure out which direction every galaxy is moving.
Yep.
I mean, because that's a pretty bold claim, and I'm not discrediting it, doing discredit on the claim. I'm just saying, share that information. I'll plot it out for you guys on a 3D model rendering or whatever, and we'll build the largest known, because they are currently mapping out the universe, but it's a 2D map. And it's like, okay, well, send me the data. I'll plot it out in 3D Studio Max and create a rendering 3D where you can rotate it and view it from any angle of the galaxy's current locations and which direction they're moving, and then show dotted lines as to which direction they came from with all the. I think that'd
Oops,
be kind
sorry.
of, I think that'd be pretty wicked to figure that out. Because then, if you can figure that out, you should be able to plot out where the center of the universe was
Yep.
during the Big Bang, draw that line, and it's like, okay, point the James Webb there. Let's look there. I want to see what's at, because as you and I know, like when stars explode, they leave a corpse. You know, if it's a
Yes.
star the size of our sun, a small star, it'll leave, a white dwarf, very dense object. But if it's a supermassive star, it might leave a become a neutron star or a pulsar or a black hole. It'll leave some kind of remnant there. So I'm guessing if there was a big bang, there's should be something at the center of the universe. You know,
There should be. Right.
should
There
be theoretically. And
exactly.
so scientists, send me your data that you have on the 2D plane or
Model, so we
2D
can work on the 3D model.
3D model, and then and let's try and figure out Well, if it can be figured out on the 2D model, let's do that too. Let's try and figure out where the center of the universe is.
Exactly.
Point the
Journey to the center of the universe.
yeah, point the James Webb there and give us an image of that, and let's see what's there. That'd be pretty
Yes,
interesting. I think it probably, my guess would be, it'd be the most exotic material in the universe. That's where everything else came from.
definitely.
Anyway,
Oh my gosh, Green Raven scored on that. So that was the Ghost Mint and 10th Planet.
was it good?
Hmm?
Good stuff.
Very good.
Well, what I have up here, I got 3 different Kanjis. Obviously, when we are showing you those, and I got my Essex. I think I'm gonna smoke some Essex.
Should try another one here. Let me do another bag. What you getting into? Ooh, showing the herbage.
Just to give scale. It's about as big as my thumb, almost, but a little fatter.
Beautiful. It looks really crystally, or is that nice?
Is it focusing?
Not quite.
Well, you can see there's red hairs in there.
Yep, pretty hairy.
See if I
Looks pretty frosty.
turn my light this way. You can see it a little better under the light. No?
Mm-mm.
But anyway, this is called S6. It's 0.62 CBD and 15.44 THC, so it's middle range strength.
And it's a indica or a
This one is
hybrid?
This one is a hybrid. This
Okay.
is indica dominant hybrid,
Nice.
according to the. Hopefully, I put the right lid on it.
That's
Yeah, 'cause
key there.
color
See?
code the lids, so
It's all good and it's all fun and games until
if I put on the wrong lid, well,
until the
be a long,
lids fall off into a
be a
pile.
long, it'll be a long night if I put on the wrong lid. It's the tequila.
Yeah. Could make for an
That's fine. It's only
interesting.
9 o'clock here.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, what time is it? Yeah, it's only 5 here. So
Oh,
GMO.
I want to put a plug in for these little containers, these little
Oh.
mini vacs.
Uh-huh.
They have this little button over here
Okay.
that it's a vacuum seal.
Oh.
If I try and push it down without pushing the button, notice it won't go down. I need to get it down to this line, but if I press a button, it'll slide on down. But then now, if I try and raise it up, it won't separate. It's vacuum sealed.
Nice.
It's a really good, cheap little thing to buy for your bud, whether it's in bud form or grinded up in grinded form.
Yeah.
These will maintain for. I did a test. In my opinion, it would hold the bud for a good 6 to 8 months. Beyond that, the buds that I tested, once they got to that range, because I wanted to see how long these would last. Of course, they have a documented amount, but I buy so much stuff. Like I got 3.2 ounces right now. I can't smoke all that like this month. That's a lot of shit. So some of the stuff, it'll stay on my shelf for a little longer. I randomly go through each one depending on my mood or how I'm feeling or whatever. But of the ones I intentionally tried to see how long they would last, I could tell that the taste was going down. You could almost plot it out. From right now to like 6, 8 months mark. But then the potency seemed to drop like in half too, which is pretty weird. I wouldn't have expected that. Not only did the taste get kind of bland, the potency dropped.
Yeah.
And so about the 8 month mark, it was almost like smoking parsley in a way. The impact was really not there, and the flavor was really not there.
Do you keep it chilled?
Nope.
Oh.
So
That's another way to keep it longer too, is to keep it at a nice cool temperature and just like a regular.
Yeah, here's one of the weird things that I learned is that how you chill it is very, very critical.
Yes.
Because a lot of people in the old days, I remember doing this, living up in North Pole, Fairbanks, Alaska, even Anchorage, is putting it in the freezer or even putting it outside, like in the wintertime.
Mhm.
Now, the problem is you got to regulate the humidity too. And as we all know, when you chill something, you're going to get ice crystals,
Yep.
and those ice crystals will eventually create moisture. And even on a vacuum pack thing like this, it's much like if you put something in a Ziploc and you throw in the freezer, all of a sudden ice crystals start forming on the inside and
Mhm.
just growing. And so the moisture will actually kill the bud, from what I understand. You want to keep the bud. You have to harvest dryness. Now, I'm not a professional grower or anything like that, but from what I've read, the dryness at when which you harvest it at is the preferred dryness that you want to keep it in order to maintain it.
Yeah.
When you start plucking it off the stems and stuff like that, because they're not going to get any moisture because they're getting their moisture through the roots and the stem and all that stuff.
If you do have an issue with moisture, let's say you get one and it dries out too much or you get whatever, you can take orange peel, you know, peel yourself an orange and take the fresh peel, and put it in with your cannabis, and it'll help bring back
Tangy.
ta-da! It'll help bring back the moisture natural, in more of a natural way.
Yeah.
And
I
it
mean,
does work. It does keep it nice and moist at that perfect moisture level, you know. You don't want to keep it in there too long, of course, because mold and etc. But
that's
if you
another.
throw it in there overnight, by the next morning, your stuff will be just perfect. So,
That's one of the reasons why I was pointing out vacuum pack,
yeah,
because the interesting thing, since I worked in the food industry and stuff like that, and even things like this, like in metallurgy,
yeah,
as soon as metal's exposed to air, it starts to rust. And same thing with food. As soon as food is exposed to air, it starts to rust. So air is, especially if it's very moist, humid air, is very, very bad for preserving things. So
yeah.
um,
Keep it as airtight as possible. Exactly.
and cool
Little,
and dark.
yeah, cold, dark, and without moisture.
Yep.
Woo is getting so old. You could probably hear her snoring again. The other day, I clicked her off. I was getting ready to head in. I clicked her off the lead, and she just took off, just bolted around the whole front of the cabin. And, it's like, oh, great. I gotta go get her. Like, she was ready to come in. She was facing like she was gonna come into the, onto the porch and head into the. She's like, nope.
One more lap. One more lap.
Yeah, freedom.
Wait, she's what, 13? Somewhere around 13.
Yep. Yeah.
That's pretty old in dog years. I mean,
Yes.
I've
Especially
heard it.
for a Jack Russell, it is pushing the limits pretty hard.
I've heard it changed over the years. My last understanding is that, like, for the average dog, it's like 7 human years. But in my lifetime, I heard it go from 5 to 6 to 7. So it kind of fluctuates. I don't know what's the accurate, but if a dog could live to be 15, that's like 80 or 90 human years.
Yeah.
18 is like really, really pushing it, kind of thing.
Getting up there. Yeah, really pushing it.
Yeah,
So,
for a Danny breed. And
yeah.
so I think that's how they came up with the formula. Oh, dog years are this in human years, which really kind of sucks, because as they say, dogs man's best friend, and it's like, why universe would you give us a friend that only lasts for just a small little snippet of our years? You know, I've had many
Yeah.
dogs in my life, and I think the oldest one I ever had was Pugsy in Anchorage. Lived to be 17 and a half.
Wow.
Yeah, his body was feeling. His mind was sharp as ever, but his body was feeling. And as super super smart dog. He was a Schnauzer Schipperke mixture.
Oh,
He was brindle colored, and he had these stripes.
are pretty.
He had black stripe going down his spine, and these stripes going following his rib cage. He looked almost like a tiger, but he was like a terrier, and his fur was very wiry, like a not even it was thicker than a wolf fur.
Oh, like a wool almost, a wool
Yeah,
fiber.
very very wiry. Yeah, it was rough. But he was super smart, and but anyway, yeah. I mean, it sucks that pets only live for a fraction. You know, 'cause some pets are pretty badass, and
Yeah,
dogs.
yeah. So I don't know. It'll be it'll be interesting. These few days here, running around with Woo. It makes it like I used to go out and film a lot, and now I can't do that nearly as much because I've got to keep her on a leash,
Yep.
you know, and I need a hand free because I'm in bear country. So,
You got to keep an eye free too, because
yep.
she has a tendency to wander, and she hears your echoes sometimes. You know, I remember hearing
Yeah,
stories where
goes chasing after the echo,
yep,
even though she can see you standing there.
yep.
Like she looks at you, but she can hear it somewhere else. And
It sounds like she's audio dominant rather than visual dominant. Maybe her eyes aren't as good as her ears, and she's relying on her ears more. So when she hears your echo, even though she's looking right at your face, she's seeing your lips moving, she's hearing you, but she hears the echo behind her or whatever angle better than her eyes are. And so I don't know, maybe she's relying on her ears more than her eyes.
yeah, yeah, her eyes are clouding over. It's the typical old dog scene going on. But yeah, so you can hear her sounding like Darth Vader down here. Just
And heavy breathing.
uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds like a respirator.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, on that level of thought, maybe you should think of some tricks to employ as far as attracting her with her ears. Do it in a manner like a stomp or something where
Yeah,
she
I've always
employ
used hand signals with her since she was a puppy.
yeah, but employ things that have a vibration too, like a stomp. And then
Yeah.
she got to feel the vibration of the ground in the same direction that the sound's coming from. And then she's like, "Oh, I hear an echo over here, but I could feel it coming from over here."
Yeah, so when I knock, I've got this little knocker thing I use, and she semi will
Double take.
double take, and if I clap or stomp the ground,
Hmm.
you know, but it takes even that, but and I'm signaling to her,
Yep.
yoo-hoo.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Her eyes are seeing what you're doing. They're just like you're saying, getting milked over, fogged over,
Yep.
whatever. And so it's probably very blurry to her, and that's why she's focusing more on her ears. Her ears are probably really good and sharp. Her eyes are probably shitty. You know?
Yeah. I don't know. It's hit or miss because she could also. Sometimes I think she's just playing deaf too.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't hear you. No.
She's like, nope, I'm not ready to go in.
Yeah, or whatever it is for the day.
Yep.
It's really funny. Out here, it's not so much at the cabin. I don't have this problem where when I take her for a drive, it's for a drive out here. If I leave out at the cabin, it's for a journey.
Like,
But if I'm in town, like when you're in Anchorage or in Oregon when we're in town and you take her out for a drive and to her opinion, it's not long enough. Oh, trying to get her out of the vehicle. Oh no, she will just hide into the tiniest crevices and just hide there and be like, "No, I want to go longer."
she likes her road trips. Then
Yes.
yep. She's like,
Just
nope,
go.
not far enough. Keep going.
Yep.
I'll let you know when to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll let you know when this rodeo's over.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've had plenty of times where I was getting ready for a party or whatever and just ran to the store real quick and came back and she refusing to get out. Just refusing to get out, leave the doors open, the whole 9 yards. Hour later, she's still sitting in there like, "No."
That's good stuff. Well, so on your birthday, you're gonna have to drive to Anchorage to hit all the dispensaries. You might as well take her along for the ride. That'll kill multiple birds with one stone.
Yep,
She'll be happy. You'll get all those pennies worth of joints,
yep,
which are obviously good sized joints.
yep,
And when it's summertime, I mean, Anchorage, come on, hello, beautiful city during the summertime. Inlet
right?
on one side, mountains on the other. You know, I would maybe even venture to say do some hiking.
Do some hiking.
Yeah, like Flat Top or O'Malley.
Oh,
Or,
wow. Well, I don't know what you think I got in me, but okay.
well, I mean, Flat Top
Maybe
might
if I
be
had a jetpack.
no Flat Top. Let's say Flat because from the
Oh,
parking lot,
drive at least drive up there. Yeah, that's what my mom and I were gonna do. We were gonna drive up to Flat Top
you could
on
even.
my
Well, I mean,
birthday.
Blueberry Hill, that loop that goes
Mhm.
up and around the saddle before you
Yep,
go up to Flat Top. Blueberry Hill is super easy. It's just a very subtle ramp up, and it's just a loop. And if the blueberries out, ooh, you get blueberries. Get up there picking, and you get that beautiful view of Anchorage, the whole inlet. You know,
yeah, no, I used to hike Flat Top, oh, on the regular.
oh man, I loved Flat Top
And
was
O'Malley
so
Peak
cool.
back there, yeah.
Yeah, I've gone up Little O'Malley and Big O'Malley. And Big O'Malley, beginning of every summer, I start going up it. And, obviously that's brutal. That's like doing stair stepper times a million,
Yep,
especially coming down. It's very
yeah,
hard on the joint.
hairball,
Yes. I mean, even if you're just walking, that's stair stepper backwards.
yeah,
Um, but by the end of summer, I'd be able to go from the flat top parking lot down the valley, across, go up Big O'Malley in 45 minutes, and then down in 35. Because I'd go down almost like I'm not running but jogging, but knowing that every step, because you're doing stair step or in reverse, knowing that every step could be, crash and burn kind of thing. Because you're
yeah,
on gravel, a lot of it's not steep where you need mountain climbing stuff, as you know, but you could hike up it, hike down. I've seen people with ski poles going up it,
yeah,
but so for me, 45 minutes, 35 minutes, what's that about? Almost 2.5 hours from the flat top parking lot all the way up to top of Big O'Malley and then all the way back. So 2.5 hour journey. So I was pretty efficient towards the end of summer times. We go up and down. But
be like an hour and some odd. It was 45 minutes and then 35 minutes.
maybe I'm doing my math
Excuse me.
wrong. Yeah, but
Yeah, time-wise, yeah.
one of the things I really like to do is go on the other side of the O'Malleys, where you get that little saddle. Well, actually, it was a big saddle. Then you go back beyond that, and then you get to back in there where some of the green waterways were,
Uh-huh.
like especially if there was a lot of algae. You know how some of the waterways that were untouched by humans, you get a little green. So some summers it'd be really cool seeing some of them like really really green kind of thing.
Yeah. Some of those lakes and stuff back in there are just gorgeous.
Especially when they're still and you could get a right picture and
Yeah,
the reflection of whatever's above showing below, like the reverse.
yep.
Really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, I've
The
hiked
only problem,
way back in there to the lakes. Can't remember what those lakes are called now, dang it. But they're
the only
way back
problem,
in there.
the only problem I have is the last time I went up in there was
Uh-huh.
2003, and the best camera I had at that time was like a 2.4 megapixel. So all the pictures I did back then were kind of like that Hubble picture that we were looking at earlier.
Yeah.
Not as good. So yeah, obviously it's been 18 years since I hiked up through there, so I don't have any recent pictures, and so my pictures are probably crappy compared to what you could get nowadays. Yep, going up in there.
Yeah. But it was high tech back then, right? I mean, that was.
I captured many memories,
Mhm.
a lot of good pictures.
There's the end of that
Actually,
burrito.
some of the cool ones were getting the being up there and getting the picture of Anchorage down below.
Mhm.
So the pictures I have, even though they might not be the greatest, I can show how Anchorage looked back at that point in time.
Awesome.
Because I'm sure a lot of buildings have come and gone.
The I have that the double. I don't know if you remember it from my office where I had the 1955 and then what they do 1999
Oh, Anchorage.
of Anchorage. Yeah, and
Yeah.
just the difference.
Yep. Yeah, that's a cool thing. I mean, seeing the growth of cities. Like here in Orlando, I could see that all over the place. And I had this conversation. I think you and I had this conversation recently. Was in our lifetime, just here in the United States, thinking back of what the population was at some key point back in our lifetime, and I could remember back in I think it was like right around the late '70s, early '80s, when the U.S. population was just crossing or reaching the 250 million individual mark. And then right now we're at like the 330 million mark.
Mhm.
So in our lifetime, that would suggest that the United States has grown in 80 million people. And then, if you think about that, like let's say New York City, largest city in the country, it's 11 million people. And if you go to New York City and you drive around even as a tourist and you realize how big it is and how big the buildings are, and you multiply that by 7, that's how many people have been added to our population in our lifetime. That's a lot of fun. But then if you extrapolate that to the whole world, from what I remember, we were at like 3.5 billion early on in our lifetime, and then like right now we're close to like 8 billion. And so you think of the math in our lifetime, I'm 52 and you're 37, and so in our lifetime, was I not sleeping up there? So in our lifetimes, you know, the, the number of people in the world has grown quite a bit. From roughly 3.5 to
But okay, here's where I kind of look at those numbers and I'm a little perplexed sometimes because just hear me out. We have all these mass genocides that take place too,
yeah, which aren't factored in.
which aren't factored in.
Yep.
And so, where, yeah, I think there's,
I'm just going based off of
yeah, no, I get it. But
the
that's,
easiest
like,
model of math. Yeah,
yeah,
I
there's,
know numbers are hard to. It's like COVID, for example. They say
uh-huh,
it's the number of people that have died, it's the number of people infected, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, have you?
Danny State.
How do you know that's the number of infected people?
Thanks,
How,
bud.
how can you how can you explain everybody all at once? So sometimes numbers are just the best guess kind of thing.
Right.
But as far as the world population, it's like, okay, how do you know there's 3.5 billion people or 8 billion people? You know, well, back then, the way that they try and figure out the numbers really sucked. Nowadays, it's easier for them to figure out. Oh, we're closer to 8 billion people. Well, everybody has cell phones or a email account or online or this, so it's not hard to figure out who's who kind of thing. Everybody has a presence, and you could kind of figure out, okay, this person owns this account, this account, this account, because they're using the same email address, kind of thing, or same IP address. Obviously, as us as I
Right. Yeah.
that,
No,
so
there'd
it's
be a lot to it. Yeah.
so it's easier these days to figure out or guess the number of people on the planet as opposed to, like, let's say 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 500 years ago. It was closer to guessing way back then because their accuracy would have been way shittier.
Yeah. And that's why when they do the polling and the consensus, etc., all of those count the people. How many people lie on those? How many people just to mess with them?
I'm just kidding.
So, you know,
I vote as all five clans. Just kidding. No, yeah, I mean, but I think the accuracies these days are better than they were 50 years ago. Let's say.
yeah,
Definitely a lot better. So as far as the world extrapolating, I mean, here in the United States, people would argue, oh well, there's fraud, this and fake this and whatever. But in the rest of the world, it's like, okay, well, if the whole world is saying, no, there's roughly 8 billion people, and our country only has like 330 million, so we're relying more on the rest of the world's numbers, you know, as far as what the
yeah,
world population is. And but still, in our lifetime, it supposedly went from 3.5 to 8. That's not quite tripling, in our 50 years. My 52 and your 37. But it's 2.5. It's a large growth considering that for the first 3.2 billion years of the planet went from 0 to 1 billion, and then in the last century it went from 1 billion up to 3.5 up to our lifetime, and then in our lifetime it went from 3.5 to 8.
yeah,
So basically, the last 150 years it went from 1 billion up to 8 billion, but it took millions of years to go from 0 to 1 billion.
it's
So if
like
you
a
plot that out, it's like a very long line, and at the very end it just goes
doubles. Yeah,
almost triples in our
yeah.
lifetime, which is very short. I mean, that's 50 years out of the millions of years, billions of years. You know?
Whoa. Sorry, Woo's getting impatient. It's her it's her dinny din time.
Uh-oh.
Just probably about a good time to end this pet.
You want to go private?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We'll go ahead and do that. Well, thank you, tubers and chiefers, for joining us this evening. I hope
Try
you
some
have a good
watermelon.
evening.
Get some
But
watermelon.
get some watermelon. Go
This,
stop by your dispensary. Oh,
no.
and
What was your personal favorite out of, bless you, what was your personal favorite out of what you tried tonight?
out of these ones that I've tried this evening, I would have to say I really like that 10th planet.
Nibiru. I mean,
Yeah.
that's another good long discussion about.
Yeah. We could go on that one all night again.
I sure
But
hope.
yeah,
But
definitely. What was your favorite?
from tonight, so I got Essex as the one I smoked on pipe. That was my favorite on flower side, and then as far as on pack side was the watermelon.
Nice.
So I was switching
Nice.
between one and the other. And then, of
I
course, I had some Corona.
joined with Corona. I did have some dark roast earlier,
Ooh,
and that's from Absalom's Garden.
is it
That's the
covered in gravy
cultivator on that.
potatoes?
That was This is really good. Here, I'll open this package and show you. That was
Rose,
really nice.
love
So I was
rose.
enjoying that earlier, right before we came on. This is super dense. That's the one beauty thing about it. It's
Ooh, I
super
can see the
dense.
red hairs too.
Lots of
Lots,
hairs.
lots of hairs.
Pretty
clusters.
frosty. It's the whole 9 yards, and it packs a nice big punch. So
Nice.
that's exactly what I'm looking for. Usually
So
when
that's
I'm,
the roast. Let's get some gravy.
yeah,
Pour the gravy on top of it.
yeah,
Hopefully,
and
it's smokable gravy.
all right, some
Somebody
true
needs to,
comfort.
somebody needs to invent some smokable gravy or something
Yeah,
they can pour on top that smoke. I'm just joking. I mean, obviously, roast. I mean, that's the first thing I think of with the roast.
yeah, dark roast.
Yep.
So it's like,
Mashed potatoes and gravy.
yeah, it's really good. Good, good stuff. So I'm pretty happy with it.
I'm really big on the flavonoids, the terpenes.
Yep.
And so, since you're talking about roast, I wanted to point out on the Essex,
Uh-huh.
this has an aftertaste of licorice. Very subtle, but that's, we talked about how the tangerine style,
Yep.
which have that subtle citrusy kind of aftertaste. This one has licorice, Essex.
Nice.
Which
Yeah, this
is
one's
cool.
like
I
a
mean,
heavy coffee type.
nice.
Yeah.
That's what I like is these offshoot styles that we wouldn't get back in the old days. So, what I remember back in the old days, like in the '80s, for example, um, there was a lot of tinge or a lot of skunk. On occasion, there'd be like some blueberry butter or whatever, or some mango
Hmm.
stick. But it was mainly skunk, the street kind of stuff, and that skunky smell, which I love. I love skunk bug. And then the tange was the number two. But but anyway, so some of this stuff like with the licorice taste, never had that when I was younger. It's like so.
Nice.
Sometimes it's nice coming across these tastes that are like a little different, and it's good quality, but at the same time, you know. So
Well, Moon Forest Gardens, they have a really good Merlot. It's called their Merlot. And oh my goodness, that is some good stuff. I'm telling you.
all right, so we're gonna have to pair that with a Merlot wine, very good
Hmm.
Merlot, and some nice little sockeye salmon, like a sockeye salmon steak, and then a cut of some nice beef, maybe some ribeye, I'm guessing, or some filet, and some veggies and potatoes,
Yep.
and that way, so the dining experience would be some gunfish, sockeye salmon,
And
and
then
then
end with that, what is that, strawberry banana sherbet?
woo-wee! Yep. Worked the way through the whole experience,
Yeah.
and that way it's like a great, at the adult theme park, a great experience of to indulge the senses and stuff, and then after that you go out for a round of music and drinks and stuff like that, and good
Start a
time.
whole different process.
Yeah, whole different process. Yep. But yeah, the satisfying all the palates. You know, when you're
Num
eating
num nummy.
because there's this place down here, like for example, the nearest place to me is called Fishbones, and it's one of those dining places. It's a surf and turf, high end. It's one of those kind of places where you'd spend for one person, $50 on a for a plate, depending on drinks. And then when you're done with that, they have a cigar bar where you go over and you have some drinks and hang out kind of thing. And so it's one of those places where it's you hang out for a couple hours.
Yeah,
You don't just go in there and eat and go. It's like an experience. Kind of thing. You
yeah,
go from one section to another, whatever. And
kind of like Coots.
woo, Coots was cool. I love Coots. All the different sections. And
Yep.
then the pool table areas and all, and gaming areas, and then of course the music and dancing and all that stuff.
Country, rock, yeah, the whole
Picture
different.
all that stuff. Yep.
Awesome.
I've been in trouble there a couple times.
Haha. I think everybody has come to
Uh,
Alaska.
The last story I remember was Jason Muslin telling a story of when a fight broke out Okay, so there's the pool table area, and then there's this area over here where a lot of people crowd up. There was a fight that was breaking out over there, and we were over here playing pool and stuff like that. And he said this as soon as the fight broke out, it's like Derek was. You could see Derek bouncing through the crowd by his pool stick.
Yeah.
He ran through the crowd like he was going to go break it up, but all you could see was his stick just bouncing up and down through the crowd. That's funny.
It's
I used
funny
to
stuff.
do that a lot. Jump into the little mixes.
Yep.
And
Yep.
most
Doing
of the
your
time,
thing.
it's breaking it up and stuff like that because I used to hang out there a lot, and I knew a lot of the workers and stuff, and a lot of people that would show up there and stuff. I didn't know everybody. Obviously, we were a large percentage, but as a local, and so when the fights would break out, I'd jump in there and break it up because otherwise it'd turn into something worse, and then everybody would have to go home because
Right.
authorities would show up, blah blah blah. And so I was mainly doing it because I was selfish. I didn't want to have to get forced out, and I didn't want to school and stuff. Didn't want the
Don't
authorities to
ruin the
show up.
fun for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So so my immediate response was, "Hey, let's break it up. Hey, why don't you buy that person a drink, and then and you buy them a drink, and then that way everybody's all good. No more fighting.
Can't we all just get along? Can't we all just
Get along." Yep.
get a bong? Get a bonk?
Yep. Yep.
All right. So on that note, yeah, there you go. The bonk. All right. Well, thank you for joining me tonight, Derek. And
Sure.
we will catch
Let's
up
go. Let's
again
go to
here
the
soon.
private and take a rip or two.
Yeah, definitely. All right, tubers and chiefers, you guys all have a great night, and we'll chat with y'all soon. Take care.
Good night, everybody.
Toodles. I almost just left studio. That would have been fun.